The safety of America's cities, demonstrating an ongoing push to restore law and order and safeguard families. President Donald Trump yesterday announced the Memphis Safe Task Force, uniting federal agencies, the National Guard, and local law enforcement to address rising violence and to make neighborhoods safer. Joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper. Casey, what actions is President Trump taking to address the urban violence in Memphis, and how does this initiative reflect his broader effort to protect the American family and safeguard neighborhoods?
Yeah, thanks, Tony. President Donald Trump established that task force yesterday at the White House. The president says this effort is part of a broader initiative to protect families and restore law and order in America's cities. Of course, this same effort is modeled after the successful federal law enforcement surge in Washington, D.C., which included the National Guard, FBI, ICE, and Department of Homeland Security, as well as the U.S. Marshal Service. They're expected to also go to Memphis. They'll be working in partnership with the National Guard and local law enforcement. Attorney General Pam Bondi will reportedly lead the operation.
This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here. And you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are really something. They're really bad. Now, we did send FBI in about 4 months ago to work, and it brought some of the numbers down, and they did a great job, but we're sending in the big force now.
That clip was President Trump making the federal case for support in the city, Tony.
Now, Casey, we've discussed before that people desire security. You and I have talked about that. But while these surges against crime are welcomed, they are only dealing with the symptoms. We have to address the root cause of the crime.
That's absolutely right, Tony. So a major factor contributing to Memphis's high crime rate is the breakdown of the family, as you said. According to a 2013 study published by Marriage and Religion Research Institute, only 17% of teenagers in Memphis have been raised by both of their married biological parents. That's one of the lowest rates in the nation. And this lack of family stability is strongly linked to higher rates of poverty, school failure, and violent crime. So strengthening the family unit, it's not just a cultural priority, but it's a practical solution to reduce crime and improve opportunity for the next generation.
You know, that should not surprise us. I mean, Scripture is very clear that parents are central to the education of their children. I mean, Scripture says, Proverbs, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. Strong families raise strong children build strong communities. And here at the Family Research Council, we champion the family built on a biblical foundation. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later with Tennessee Congressman John Rose here in the program. Casey, I want to switch gears a little bit. What's the latest in the investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So there's a Sunday funeral planned for Charlie Kirk in Arizona. As far as the investigation, Utah officials held a press conference today where they announced 7 formal charges, which includes aggravated murder. That's an important charge because they've also announced that they are going to seek the death penalty in this case. They'll need that aggravated murder charge. They released many details, although not all of them. The prosecutor said that he doesn't want to taint the future jury pool and wants to do justice to the suspected shooter. But we do have confirmation of many of the rumors and initial reports that the shooter had become increasingly pro-trans, pro-gay, and anti-Charlie Kirk, saying he was spreading hate. And it really did come down to a political and spiritual motive here, Tony.
All right, well, thanks for that update, Casey. I want to turn quickly to the Middle East. Israel launched a large offensive in Gaza City today. This follows Secretary of State Marco Rubio, his visit to Israel, where he reiterated American support for Israel's war against Hamas. Now, today, he's in Doha, meeting with officials in Qatar. Casey, what's the purpose of Secretary Rubio's stop there in Qatar?
Yeah, Rubio's visit to Doha comes at a pivotal moment as Israel is escalating its military operations against Hamas in Gaza. Now, Rubio's discussion with Qatar's leadership there is focused on finalizing a robust defense agreement between the U.S. and Qatar, highlighting the need for that stronger security cooperation in the region. Rubio, of course, has been a vocal support of Israel's right to defend itself, and this trip just underscores and strengthens that commitment and alliance between the U.S. and Israel.
All right, thanks, Casey. Later in the show, CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell will join us from Israel with more details on the situation in Israel and Gaza. Casey, final story. What actions are Christians in America taking to bring the issue of violence against Christian minorities in the Middle East to the attention of Secretary Rubio?
Well, Family Research Council led a coalition urging the U.S. government, specifically addressing Rubio, who, as we just said, is in the Middle East. And they wanted to take immediate action to protect religious minorities in Syria. So leaders of FRC and other Christian organizations are calling for the establishment of a humanitarian corridor between Hayder and Sueda to ensure Druze and Christian communities that they can move safely and receive direct aid, bypassing Damascus. So with Rubio on the ground of the region, this is a critical opportunity for the U.S. to reinforce its commitment to these vulnerable communities, Tony.
All right. Thank you, Casey.